Hello, it's April 16th, 2020, and tonight we're going to quickly review chapters 9, 10, and 11 of Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, what I consider one of the best real estate investment books. I'm a real estate educator, broker, investor, appraiser, REO asset manager for over 3 decades, close to 4 decades. And this book, the author I've never met. He lives in the opposite end of the country. I live on the East Coast, he lives on the West Coast. But if I had written a book, it would give you basically the basics would be the same as this book. And this is all it takes to get involved in real estate and to make millions of dollars if you put what's in this book to application. And chapters 9, 10, and 11 are relatively quick and important. And if you've read the prior chapters, which if you haven't, please go back because this coordinates them together. I don't make anything for recommending this book. It's just one of my favorites, and I think I'm trying to pay it forward by giving you some things to look at within this book and show that, yes, he was the author, but I was a practitioner over the last 3+ decades, and it does work in some of the insights from my perspective. So chapter 9 is understanding property information. And this does wrap together some of the stuff that was in the prior chapters. So you really do need to go back to the prior chapters. And also, please subscribe to my channel because the book reviews aren't really great for your YouTube algorithm, and every single subscriber counts. So these are some of my lower seen videos, but it does go into my algorithm as far as the other ones being promoted. So do me a favor and subscribe, please. So understanding property information, and one of the things you really got to do once you decide where you want to invest, what neighborhood, and what type of properties you want to invest in. I mean, some people just want to do industrial, so they might target just industrial parks, or some people just apartment complexes, so they might want to target apartments. And, it differs from different regions of the country. In the Northeast, 2 and 3 unit, like two families they're almost in every city. 3 families, they were a predominant style back in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And other places like Atlanta, it's difficult to find a duplex or a quad. They're rare. I mean, they do exist, but they're not plentiful. So it depends on your market area, what kind of properties you can find also. So you got to determine what can you buy, what area you want to buy in, and then you want to learn as much about that as possible. I bought in everything. I bought in apartments, I bought in raw land, I bought in single family houses, and industrial, commercial, and but different markets has different opportunities. So getting back to the understanding property information, excuse me, it's so important that you be able to collect information, because the more information you got, the more knowledgeable you become. The more knowledgeable you are, the better investor you are. So Tom goes on to, say how you collect the information in this chapter, and he gives some examples on pages 52 or 53 of some sort of like tax maps and how you go back. And I used to actually, when I started, there was no online real estate data. You'd have to go down to the county courthouse, and they'd have these big map books, tax maps. You look through these, they were like 4 feet by 2 feet or 3 feet with these big maps. So you go through and you look through every page, and you if you wanted to buy one page, it was like $12 at the time in my area. So you wouldn't go down and buy a page. You'd go through and you'd copy down the parcel numbers. Then you'd have to go to a file cabinet and get a property card and then copy the data for that. So, but now you guys have it easy. You just go online. But the fallback is, when I started, not many people would go through what I had to do. So there's a lot more opportunities. You didn't just sit at home at your computer and pull up property data. You had to go work for it a little, and that did help in the investment. So you go down and you might have a neighborhood that you are wanting to start farming or marketing to. So you go down and print off these maps and you ride down the streets, and I would take notes per parcel. Like, excuse me, I'd go down the street and figure out which I start at a corner and go down and write or have different color markers. And I'd like, okay, that one looks like it's vacant. That one looks like it's got deferred maintenance. That one looks like somebody just moved in. That one has a for sale. So I'd take notes and then I look over, go from parcel to parcel to parcel. And that's kind of tedious, but if you're that thorough, you're bound to find a diamond in the haystack. And chapter 10 is about obtaining property information and owner information. And like I said, there are websites you can do it, but if you go to your county, whatever county you're in now, typically you can find the property data. They have a portal, and you can search tax records. And so that's what I do. And now you have Google Maps, so you can go in and you can look at a map and see if there's like, oh, that coordinate it out and see if this is you might find a parcel where it might be near a freeway, water tower, railroad, power lines, whatever, and you can zoom in and see if, well, does that really have an effect on it? There's other things Google helps you do too. Tom also mentions getting title insurance, and I want to add one thing onto this is now when I first started buying property, you called the owner directly, and there was really no question that who was signing your contract was the owner. And very few realtors now, even when they list a property, ask the owner for ID and check their title, check it versus who's on the deed. So you definitely need to get title insurance, but I'd also want to make sure if you do negotiate a contract that the person you're actually giving a deposit check to, if you're doing it direct, not with a realtor, is the owner. So, I would present a contract and I would, have my check so they could visibly see it and I hand it to them. But I say, I just got to check one thing. Can you show me a license? And I'd make a picture of that license and add it to your file, because you want to make sure who's signing the contract is actually the owner. On page 57, Tom, as I said, one of the most important things about buying or selling or investing is knowing value. And Tom hits this point again on page 57. And I'll just read a sentence. I rarely do this, but I'll read a sentence out of the book. Since you have studied your target area so well, you'll be able to immediately determine what the property is worth. And that's so important. You got to know your area. You got to know your values. Like I said in prior videos, I'm an expert as valuation, expert witness in every level of court, all the way from the local to the federal. And was one of the top REO asset managers in the country, a certified general appraiser in, I think, 4 or 5 states now that I actually practice in. So I'm always called for valuation issues. And that's because I can show up at a property and immediately figure out what it's worth almost. I mean, sometimes there's an oddball case, but it's about knowing the market, knowing your immediate area, knowing what to look for, knowing what to study. And with that, you become more confident. I mean, I've seen tens of thousands of properties, literally been in tens of thousands of properties. So as your knowledge builds up, you get more refined, and you're going to surprisingly pinpoint or focus quickly, without even almost knowing it, what to look for as far as value and value detractors. So that's an important thing to know. Study, look at more properties, even if you know that if there's a property in that neighborhood you're looking at that you won't be interested, and go look at it anyways if you can. I mean, you got to look at everything you can, because you got to get the grand scheme of things. And in chapter 11, it's just about organizing your information. and the forms that he's supplied in here, the sample forms. And organization is a key. Organization and keeping track of your data, because then you have a reference material, plus if there's leads, you have a quick source to go back on to follow up. I can't say that enough, because there's been so many times when, if they say call me in 3 months, call them in 1 month. If they're planning on selling the property, if you call them and say, no, I'm not interested, but I'm going to sell in the spring, and say it's January, well, call them in February. Don't wait until April. Follow up, keeping your information organized, knowing where to get your information. These are all important steps to becoming a successful real estate investor. So please subscribe to this channel, and on the next video will be about contracts and what you should know. And Tom's got some good examples in here. As I said, I'm a licensed broker, owner brokerage, and we use standard form law real estate contracts, but you can use simple 5-sentence ones if you need it, and I do. So, okay, please subscribe. Talk to you tomorrow.